Hey, what's up everybody? It's your boy Chris, and I wanted to make this video for you because of the success I'm having with the 7-day hyper detox that I created. And it's having nothing short of miraculous results. I kind of chagrin in saying that because I don't want to sell something that's not realistic. But the results we are seeing are nothing short of extraordinary in 7 days. And I know the reason behind it, but to watch it unfold is absolutely amazing. We've had a guy lose 15 pounds in a week, a guy lose 12, another woman lose 11 pounds. The average across the board is about 8 pounds. In 1 week, so it's over a pound a day. But the extraordinary part comes in with people with diabetes. Had one guy, in the first day, he wasn't using his insulin. And by day 7, he was still not having to use his insulin. That's incredible. We've had people with chronic pain. By day 4, the pain has disappeared. And a lot of claims to an abundance of energy. And that is the good side. Some of the bad side, and this was myself in particular, because I had done this type of detox, if you will, a couple years ago, and it was when we were creating it. And because I actually created this during my gym days. And then it's just refined into this beautiful process, very simple process. But your detox, you're releasing toxins from the fat cells and stored cells into the body, into the bloodstream. And so you're not always going to feel great. Headaches have happened, just a feeling of like, am I getting sick? No. And then the next day, boom, you feel amazing. And that's what happened with many people. And so how can we have such miraculous results or extraordinary or just amazing results in a week, right? In just 7 days, in some cases in day 1. And there really is only one cause to all of this, and it's inflammation, okay? We might think inflammation is when we sprain our ankle and it swells up with fluid, because the body's protecting that area so it can heal. But there is systemic inflammation that happens inside the body due to a myriad of things, from chemicals we put on our body, lotions, fragrances, things like that, to even environmental, the fog or the smog, like when we have in the valley, when we have our depression and it settles all of the smog in the air right on our lungs, or we have our fires, that rage in the later months of the year, that plays hell on my mood. It makes me creaky. I don't feel good during that time. And I talk to a lot of people that experience the same thing. And that's not because I'm eating poorly, but that is another major reason for inflammation is our diet. We have a lot of processed things. We have a lot of things with added chemicals for flavoring and things like that. And our body doesn't recognize these as food or consumable. And so it doesn't always process them correctly. And no two people are the same. No two people. I can withstand a lot more pollutants and still maintain, clarity and drive and, things like that. But some people can't. Or maybe they're systemically compromised in another way. And so this is just a bombardment. So why is all this important? Why is it important to know that inflammation is the cause? Because inflammation is really easy to get rid of as far as it is from diet and things like this. I'm not speaking to chronic medical issues or even acute medical issues, but the general self-care of the American being isn't the greatest. And if we just did a couple things, we could eliminate most of the inflammation from our bodies. What does that mean? That means your brain fog is gone. You don't need caffeine in the morning. That means you don't have aches and pains and joint and you're just uncomfortable. That means you have a natural abundance of energy. It means you're in generally a better mood because your body's not fighting this pain that sometimes we don't even recognize consciously. And so it's very important to understand that inflammation causes all these types of symptoms. Weight gain especially. Weight gain in and of itself is a form of inflammation. The fat cell fills with toxicity and water, and it just keeps growing, and because we introduce foods that just don't agree, and we also introduce them in an exorbitant amount so that our bodies can't burn the calories off. What happens when you decrease the inflammation is the first thing that happens is you usually, typically, not all the time, typically your body will release excess water. Okay? Why is that important? It's important for your body to release that excess water and water retention, because if you're trying to lose weight and let's say you cut your calories and nothing's changing on the scale, you've been eating below your calories, but nothing's moving, and you get distraught and you give up. Well, if those calories were still consisting of foods that cause inflammation in your body, you're fighting two battles. Your body is going to continue to want to retain water, and when you reduce calories, your body's going to want to get rid of that water weight first before it starts really moving towards the fat cells and getting the fat to release. And so that's what makes it so difficult. That's what makes it to where people can't lose weight even though they're calorie restricted, okay? A lot of other personal behaviors come into play, like lying and things like that, but just for the sake of argument, if you get rid of the inflammation first, it makes it much easier to lose the fat. And so we need to get the water off first. That's why you can see with people who are possibly bigger, they lose 15 pounds in a week. Well, that's a lot of water inflammation that their body needed to release in order to start burning fat, okay? The next thing is the food. Food is the biggest contributor to inflammation, okay? Right here. Our foods are filled with contaminants. Our foods have allergens based on how we've lived our life over the past 10,000 years since the dawn of agriculture. We have become accustomed to certain things. Now, America is a melting pot of different cultures and different genetic strains that are tolerant to this, may not be tolerant to that. And it becomes this big, what can I eat because I can't tolerate this stuff? And so, for instance, like Asiatic nations typically are lactose intolerant, but European nations typically aren't. Same thing with soy and things like that. There's a bunch of other things that go in your food that will cause inflammation and cause distress on the system. High fructose corn syrup, fake sugar, sugar in general, and if your body's compromised, sugar compounds the problem. Sugar in itself is not an issue, but if you're not, keeping that inflammation down through proper hydration and diet and everything else, sugar's just going to compound the issue. And we all know that the American eats way too much sugar. So, what I've done is I've scoured the webs, I've scoured my research and curated a list of foods that are that are not known to cause inflammation within the body unless you have like an acute allergy. Some people have an acute allergy to poultry, and so, but chicken and turkey is on the list, but for general population it's not an issue that doesn't cause inflammation. And so what happens is I have everybody follow a food list that's all foods you normally eat. Some foods you eat are restricted. Some foods that most of us eat a lot are restricted, but not to the point where it's unmanageable and you can't make it into a lifestyle. It's the feeling you get from following this food list is too good not to let go of in most cases. And so, first thing that happens, you release excess water based on the food you're eating. We introduce the food. The next thing you're going to notice, and we restrict inflammatory foods. The next thing you're going to notice when you decrease inflammation after the release of water is clarity. Clarity of your mind. You start to think sharper. Your brain isn't bogged down with, let me put it this way, your body's not fighting excess war, and so it allows more of the nutrients, more of the electronic impulses to happen in the brain. And so you think more clearly. You don't need caffeine to get yourself going. You don't have brain fog, okay? You wake up without an alarm. This is everything that we've seen happen in 7 days. And so lots of water retention release, lots of clarity gained, and finally, reprieve from pain. So one of the well-known causes or symptoms of inflammation is pain. We have inflamed joints from injuries. You know, when you break a bone, as I mentioned before, inflammation happens instantaneously to protect the area and hydrate it and all that kind of stuff. But when you have systemic inflammation due to poor diet, you just feel crappy all over. And if you have symptoms of like rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune disorders, anything like that, it exacerbates that. And so by reducing the overall inflammation, because those things are an inflammatory disease, and all disease really is an inflammatory response in the body, but you start to relieve that pain. We've had people with chronic hip pain because they're horse riders and they just live with it because that's their lifestyle, and they beat their body up. But by day 4, no hip pain when they're waking up. No migraines diminished, you know, different things that inflammation causes, just overall feeling of shit, to put it another way, goes away. You start to feel lighter on the inside, and you start to do more things in your life. You're thinking clearly, your confidence is up because you dropped weight really quickly, and you're thinking clearly, and you're out of pain. So imagine that. Imagine just those 3 things: a little bit more confidence, a little more brain clarity and coherence, and a reprieve from pain. So less pain in your life. Taking those 3 things out of the equation can dramatically change the trajectory of someone's life. We had a guy, his name's Brian. I grew up with him. He's overweight. He took a chance and did the 7-day detox. He lost 12 pounds. He lost 9 pounds in 2 days, and got on our accountability group. And he's like, after I got done sobbing out of pure joy, I had to share this with everybody. I have never seen anything like this. And when I spoke to him, he explains, like, I had no idea just changing up how you eat can have this much effect on inflammation in the body and cause this many results to happen. And it's stories like that I absolutely love, because I I feel as if I gave him a hand up in life by showing him that there's a better way. And then he ends up, he's going to work with me for the next year. Going to work off getting 100 pounds. And it's going to happen because the belief is strong. The results is there. You have to have belief in order to do anything, right? You have to believe that you can do it. And that's the beauty of my 7-day hyper detox, is that it shows you just what you can achieve in 7 days. And your belief skyrockets and the positive brain chemicals start flowing, and you want to do this. You want to take this on. It's no longer of, I gotta lose weight, or, you know, I gotta find a way to get rid of this pain without taking all these pain pills, or whatever the case is. It's now a desire instead of a want. And there's a big difference. A desire is something you're willing to go after. A want is something you're willing to talk about for the rest of your life and never get there. And so I hope this gave you guys some clarity on inflammation, the effects it can have, and how easy it is to get rid of it. And take a chance and join the 7-day free hyper detox. Like I said, it's totally free. All I'm asking for is a video interview at the end where I can ask you some questions on how it went. And hopefully your belief is high enough that we can work together to take you all the way to your goal. But in the meantime, just marinate on this and think about what you want to change about your body. And if you're sick of where you're at, PM me and we'll take care of it. All right? Hope you guys enjoyed. Talk to you later.